Hello, everyone. Welcome to North American Night Shift for Deadlock. I'm Golden Boy. I'm your host for this evening. We're joined here by some familiar face. You know, you got ZP. He's been around the block a couple of times. And then, of course, we got Uber joining as well. I'm new here, so I shouldn't say joining because this is kind of like my first gig. ZP, thanks for having me. It's a blast. Pleasure to be a part of this. And yeah, I'm stoked. Uber, how you doing, buddy? You seem a little verklempt.
No, I'm sheepish because for some of our more recent viewers, I might look new as well. I don't think I've been a part of the night shift for a couple of months here, so very stoked to be back. It's been a while since I've done some Deadlock casting. I'm really glad I had the opportunity to be here today, and bear with me out there in the chat because I'm sure there's going to be some rust to shake off. And I'm pumped to be here, Golden Boy. Great to have you here. ZP as well, of course. He's going to be our rock. He's going to be our foundation. He's going to be our pillar. And also, he got a camera upgrade recently because he's looking clean.
That's right. Well done, ZP.
Damn, bro.
I like that. What'd you get?
Dude?
It was an Instalink camera. It was on sale a few months back. It was Puckett who saw it. He's like, hey, you should get this camera. I just got this camera. I'm like, hey, you know what? That's a pretty good sale. I'll go for it. I need an excuse. Exactly.
There it is, baby.
Exactly.
Tax write-off. All right, awesome stuff here. Well, guys, look, you know the deal. You've been watching Night Shift. You know what's going to be coming up here. But let's go ahead and review the format, how this whole shebang works. Because we have ourselves, we saw the EU matches. Shout out to Abrahams, by the way. Holy crap. I thought that they were cooked in that second match, but then they were able to come back big time, bring it back for the dub. Now we're resetting things with North America. We have Floormen versus Bunny But Clock, BWC, and two teams who have fought through this quite a few times. ZP in the night shift, I'd say, right? Going up against familiar foes in the Melee Creeps, who are our winners from last week, waiting in the finals.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest things here too is, Floormen, I think they've finally found their groove, but they still maintain the old Hydra Nation spirit of, well, we lost a few weeks in a row, time to do a roster change up. And this was the team that was originally the Hydra Nation squad that is now Sans Hydration. They just picked up Goober and Rocker. Rocker, of course, his streak of coming back and instantly winning the championship actually just broke. But, this is a team with legacy. And by the way, future up and coming things, maybe Floormen versus Hydra Nation next week. Who knows? But Bunny with Clock, they're the team that they have come up and really proven to be a contender in NA, and honestly have been the overall number 2 the last few weeks. So things continue to evolve in North America, and the challenging match in NA, it's been really, really close the last few weeks.
And expected to be so as well, especially regardless of which teams that have advances here. I think ZP's right to point out that we've had a pretty big change for this Floormen roster. They are looking really scary. Like Goober and Rocker are just insane individuals. They are literal OGs of Deadlock. I know anybody playing right now might be considered an OG in a few years, but those guys have been around for that long. Goober is unreal. Amazing troll in chat, but also a bit of a movement god. Someone I'm always looking out for. And Rocker had this tendency, Golden Boy, just whoever he subbed in for, he just started calling for them, and all of a sudden he took over the game. So this team are insane. They're a household name in A, or at least the players are now coming back together. So expect great things from them. Poshy's also a fantastic content creator. He's had some great stuff go out recently, so well worth checking out. If you don't know who he is, these guys, there are some of our NA darlings.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing, them play. Obviously, we've been seeing them week in, week out. I've been watching the night shift matches and seeing what they've been doing. And, no shocker that, they're going to continue to be a contender within the region. It's just really cool to just see how this has all ZP kind of evolved, right, over time. Deadlock as a game, very much so, at least for myself. You and I were talking about this a couple weeks back, and then I'm like, holy crap, like, this game is crazy. It's awesome, but like these are the players who stuck with it from the absolute beginning, and they're definitely you see it in that gameplay, man. Like it's insane. Just the movement is smooth, the coordination is great, the understanding of the different heroes is phenomenal. Like really, ZP, I just think these guys have it all.
Yeah, it is really cool to see. I mean, even just the player personality isn't sort of what you know them for evolving over time. Goober's a great example, right? Where you look at Goober, used to be the Viscous guy. Well, now he's actually the Holiday guy and the Celeste guy, if he ever got to play it, just because of the fact that he put so much effort into learning movement, where if you're looking at NA scrims that were going on prior to today, teams were not giving Goober Holiday. It was the highest ban priority of Holiday we have seen, just because his Holiday has been that shutdown. And yeah, I mean, the personality sort of grows week after week, and the stories that go along with it, because people just learn new stuff all the time.
Yeah, the game just constantly evolves. It's so cool, man. Let's go ahead and check out the next squad, though. Their opponents for this BO1. BO1, right? We want to make sure format's still the same.
BO1.
Okay, so we got Bunny with Clock, which is the best name. They win the award for best name, period. And I don't think it's even close here. But, of course, a team that we have seen, again, come through. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Z, but this is a team that, has overall had a little bit more success in the night shift, but I think now it's definitely seeing like things balance out a little bit, and they've been competitive still.
Yeah, I mean, it's been back and forth. Floormen, of course, they were able to get through them last week in the BO1, but the previous weeks it wasn't quite the case. That's why they had the roster changes. But they have a lot of cool stories on this team, not the least of which is Aiden, right? Where even though Vindicta's a little bit out of the meta right now, really kind of exploded onto the scene back in the Trolley tournament with just a shutdown Vin that was getting respect banned very, very heavily. And then you look at other players like Arctic, now kind of more in Mirage jail, used to be, though, Shiv on frontliners. And also Matt, who's had the kind of readjust. Matt, came onto the scene with a really, really strong Holiday, and now is more flexing for the team. Says, "Nah, cool cheese. You're the playmaker here. You're gonna have those heroes." But we've seen this team enough to kind of get a real feel for what they're good at, and they continue to impress.
Yeah, I do like that Matt is like the kind of player that's usually in the position to abuse the broken stuff. The reason why we've got the Ivy here is because there was a time where like Kudzu Bomb was just insane for lane push, and like that lane equity was really important in the game. Matt was picking that up a whole lot. I like how it's so easy to imagine what Tanner plays. He just picks like the OG Chad name and plays the OG Chad characters. So yeah, ton of frontliners here. It's been a while since I personally have seen Aiden play Vindicta. It just doesn't really seem to be allowed a lot of the time. But I'd love to see that today in light of some other heroes being pretty heavy permaban targets. Has already been evidenced in EU, like Celeste, for example.
Yeah, no, of course. I do want to thank all the folks who are supporting what these guys are doing here at Night Shift, which is awesome, by the way. There is a Patreon with different tiers of support. $5 tier gets you into the Graveyard Shift post-show. Don't mess up the F on that one, or else, oh boy. Although I will say, maybe if you want to, have a show where you're just going to talk crap, you can go ahead and call it that.
Literally what we do.
No, we literally had a sponsor reach out once, just like, "Hello, I would like to sponsor the night shit." It was like, you need this to have there. Like, come on, man. Like, what's going on?
Hey, listen, that was my name back in high school. All right. Well, of course, we had a lot of folks coming in and supporting this one, and big thank you to everyone. You actually can get the VOD access, right, ZP, for becoming a patron. Why don't you go ahead and run through, folks, what that is? Because I'm new here, damn it.
Yeah, so the main thing is we do a podcast usually after the show. I think this week it'll probably be more on Thursday or Friday, where we grab usually a pro player and just sit down, chat for 20-30 minutes is one of the main perks. Technically, the $250 the executives that we have at the very top, they can get a custom casted game, but no one has asked for one yet. We're still waiting for that, and we haven't run one in a while. We just ran one, but we are looking to run things more like game nights and that sort of stuff into the future. But more than anything else, we just really appreciate the support that people have given, because that helps us pay our observers, that helps seed the prize pool at the beginning, and all the basic things that keep the show running.
So huge shout out to you guys making this happen, the patrons, y'all at the top there. And look, I mean, just you get out and support. Any donations are going to be going to the prize pool, right, as well as EP. Yes, which is another really cool thing. So directly right to the prize pool. I'm going to see if I drop a couple ducats in a little bit to the prize pool. First time in my career where a couple shekels. Yeah. First time in my career where I've paid to work. So this is going to be
how do you think I got back onto the show? I just ZP cheeky fitty over paper, bro.
Under the table, right into the prize pool it goes, because that's just, we just really care. No, honestly, I'm stoked. I'm really pumped to see what we have, because there were some changes. This will be the first one with Celeste as well, right? I believe she just dropped recently. I tried her out freaking awesome character, but I am absolute garbage with her.
You need good movement. You need good movement fundamentals.
It's like, well, I'm seeing these people just zip around, and I'm like, dog, I'm almost 40. What the hell's happening over here?
ZP has that reason too. He just doesn't use that excuse. Bro gets around. We can do it.
I guess so. Really, he is. All right, we should be jumping into the side selection in a moment here, and then seeing where things are going to be going. But yeah, I'm kind of pumped for this. Okay, so and I didn't know that this is a thing that you guys did. Just 1v1 side selection.
Usually it's
back and forth.
Usually it's Mo and Krill, but we had to do some diligence to the new heroes and have a good old brawl here. This is how they get down to the Vatican. Venator v. Venator. Perry, though, comes on in.
Down at the Vatican. Oh, man. The power
hitting with the sign of the cross, baby. Go, let's go.
Just too many.
Whoa, what? Mind games.
Low-key hoping...
I'm low-key
hoping we get more Venator today. I did like the carry Venator build we saw just now on EU. I think that's fun. Obviously, a lot of the talk was that Venator needs a little bit more help sometimes to sort of get there. But I did like the playmaking ability of Iridomini, the ultimate. So fingers crossed we get that into the draft.
Yeah, we have been seeing some really cool combinations as well. Well, here we go with the draft. So now we'll actually see whether or not we get that. Camera's looking nice, Mitch.
I'm just adjusting it, you know what I mean? Because I'm kind of, you know what I mean? I think I'm trolling. I'm pretty sure our production can do this much easier. I mean, but with a forehead like this, I need to leave some room, bro.
That's fair.
And that's after the filters. It's unbelievable.
I know. It's actually using the vertical
also, well, what in the world is going on? Buddy with Clock actually his first pick, and they banned the Celeste. If you feel Celeste is that OP right now, it is better that the second team ban it, because
they banned it a lot in EU as well, I believe.
Yeah, it's just normally you'd let the other team ban her because you're first pick, so you'd force Floormen to ban Celeste by banning something else. Otherwise, you get to pick it up. So it is a bit odd that they just take this out right now. I guess they don't want to play it. That's the only real thing I could imagine, which is odd.
Well, I think they also, if they don't want to play it, they certainly don't want Goober to play it, because Goober just sitting here and be like, this is the best hero ever. Well, I will zoom across the map. I have no clipping. Like, you probably don't give it to Goober because he would absolutely be prepared. But Abrams coming in his first pick kind of makes sense. We're just in a meta right now where it is a run on frontliners in the beginning of the draft.
Yeah, you've got to get him locked in.
Billy. Yeah, locking my boy. This is I've been loving this dude. I've been playing Billy nonstop, but
you're a Billy guy.
I totally get it. You just feed. That's what I've been doing, and I really need to stop, man, because Billy, it's easy to feed with Billy. It's easy to feed with him, man. Holy crap! If you're not supported. All right, Silver gets locked in too. Been loving seeing a lot of Silver in play as well. It feels like a kind of a staple with a lot of compositions now, right? You're just seeing Silver locked in all the time.
Yeah. I mean, again, potent frontliner can really benefit from like Berserker weighted bullets as well. Obviously, her gun plays quite nicely there. And Geist is a good pickup, obviously, like AVG's in this game. So, you know, there's we're talking about the kind of people who really want to try and lock in these potential gun carries that also give you great durability. So no surprise to see these dealt with. It's been a while since we've seen like the playmakers really locked in, but another Rem pick up here really early. I'm kind of blown away, ZP, by how effective, passively the Rem can farm with that 3 ability at times.
Yeah, no, I mean, not only does Rem give good map control and the ability to steal enemy resources, but also support is just good. It's a little bit weird in NA, where NA has been really undervaluing Page, but, you know, at the very least realizes, like, yeah, Rem is pretty darn good. Now, the interesting thing about the bans here is that for Goober, who has been just viciously getting banned out of Holiday, they had to pick it here before the mid-stage bans, because while they had to burn the ban on Celeste, they 100% would have banned Holiday if Floormen didn't take it there. So that was understanding that Goober would get targeted, and they say, okay, we're gonna overpick Holiday relative to where most people go, because it is simply worth it to do when people have this level of respect for Goober.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what Goober could do with that, because he's just an awesome player in general. And yeah, Rem's been so freaking effective. Like I feel like with Rem, like you mentioned before, is you just that passive ability to just be able to farm, handle so much of the field out there by yourself. Holy moly, character's so good. Mirage as well. It's going to get locked in for Floormen here. So did get an opportunity to play with you in your Mirage. To show me what he could do with that one. That is a wild. Yeah, you're pretty damn good with that hero there, Z.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mirage is just one of the better gun carries out right now. With some of the changes that came across to orange items, he really rocketed up in Prio. But also, Bunny with Clock, they're going out of their way to take away things that, Pop may normally go to. Pop can still play the Mirage, but when you look at the hero pool here, the early Geist pick, I think, was making sure Pashi didn't get to play it. It's one of his bigger comfort heroes historically. So kind of makes sense. But
targeting their opponents a lot here, which, goes to show you, right? Like, they're looking for this dub. I kind of respect that, ensuring that they're targeting the things that they don't want to allow their opponent to be able to shine with, right?
I love this. We've got 2 heroes on Bunny with Clock who can actually abuse the tunnel systems on the Cursed Apple, the more recently added one. So I'm very curious to see how that goes.
How does that allow them to be able to, I guess better yet, just what does that allow them to be?
You have more direct cross-lane mobility and actually more access to boons and the ability to sort of farm boxes. It's a part of the map that other heroes at this time can't actually access and lets you get around the map pretty easily. I do like that the Mina sort of gets roped in here. It could be like a Lord and M pick on the Floormen side. Obviously somebody who can really scale very well. You've got Mirage, you've got Mina who can really make that happen. You've got the playmaking potential on Holiday. A very well-rounded composition. It's great to see the Ivy back in the mix too.
Oh, GT coming in.
Great talent.
Yeah, I mean, this has been more of an NA special, and it's kind of interesting because GT's been the spot where GT hasn't always, he's not picked in a lot of the games, but then I feel like when GT has been picked, oftentimes it'd actually be, some like Rocker playing it. Yeah. It's actually pretty good. I mean, you still get tons of pressure out of the Owl, especially once you hit your first ultimate. And I don't know, I always go around in my mind and wonder, has GT been undervalued? I never hate when it comes to play, even if it's the last pick.
Well, we'll see, right? How do we feel as far as our picks goes here? Who has that advantage coming into this one? Because I'm kind of siding more with Floormen. I'm liking what I'm seeing over there a bit more. I think, with the Mina and, you have the Billy and Silver just being hyper aggressive, just a lot working over there. But curious to know what you guys think, Z.
Yeah, as I look at it, I like the Floormen comp a little bit more, mostly because I'm not a believer in Calco. Like, the few times Calco has been picked recently, it hasn't looked super good. The Bunny with Clock frontline is scary. I think
it's
Geist,
very tanky.
Yeah, Geist is really worth the earlier pick here, but I also think the fact that you gave Goober Holiday is ridiculous. When Floormen was actually able to take a map away from melee creeps last week, they did it with Goober on the Holiday. So more comfort picks over towards Floormen. I mean, it's a little weird. I hope it's Pashi on the Mirage and not Pashi on the Ivy. That hasn't worked out super well, but yeah, on the whole, like the Floormen comp a little bit better.
Yeah. Obviously Rem is the kind of, hero you want to stack up with a lot of those active items, for support purposes. The tag along is actually, it heals based on a % of missing health here. So it doesn't care about your target being tanky or high HP in general, but I'm curious to see how it plays out. I do agree with ZP, very tanky comp picked up for BWC.
All right, fellas. Well, I'll let you guys have fun, but I'm going to stay, muted, maybe just be a little React Andy, just have some fun and just chill out. Enjoy.
We do that. We do React Andy. Thank you so much, Golden Boy. Great to be jumping back into the Cursed Apple, folks. It's Uber and ZP here for the NA portion of your particular show. Here we've got the Mirage and Holiday mix up here in mid for Floormen. They'll be going up against the Geist and Rem.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about classic mid comps. Mirage Holiday is about as classic as it gets. At one point, when Mirage was more in the meta, you'd see it all the time. Still really heavy poke damage. Counterbalanced a little bit by the fact that Geist is inherently tanky and still going to be healed by Rem. So we'll see how it works out. I'm still jury's out on how Rem is going to fight in some of these lanes, versus the more classical combos.
Yeah, it feels high sustain, right? I think that's, what we're going to be looking for between this this Rem and Geist combination. And we'll see, Tanner being put under a lot of pressure, obviously. That's an Abrams in a bit of a hostile lane on that right side of the map, best as I can tell. We'll check in with that, of course, in a moment, but already getting poked pretty aggressively here by that Silver Mina look.
But you shouldn't be this low to Silver pre-ult. The entire thing you run a Silver lane is that it's going to be a bit weaker before you actually get your Lycan Curse. So Tanner just getting pummeled to this extent, going down actually, is a brutal start for Bunny with Clock.
Yeah, and you really don't want this Mina to start to, get out in front of you here, start to farm those stacks, and in general just sort of get ahead. So that's something we're going to have to be checking back in. Already, of course, that first extra Spirit picked up, so looking to hit a little bit hard. And yeah, Floormen might be looking to collapse onto this lane, but things aren't looking much better for Bunny with Clock on that left side of the map. A lot of push here, of course, with that Ivy lane. It's in mid, I guess, where they're able to find some form of equity, but that is only going to last so long until that Spirit Lasso gets online, and it could be quite difficult. We're over to the left side here, of course, so we're on board with Arctic, who had picked up this Warden. Definitely looking worse for wear as well. Outflast attempted here, but now getting wrecked, and will be struggling to get back to safety here. Has to make use of that heavy melee. Looks like for now, a Warden will remain, but there's not much to do in this lane.
Observers are channeling a lot of power. You heard about Caster Curse. That was more of an Observer Curse there. It's like, hey, Arctic, he's looking. Oh, he's nearly dead.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's not ideal to eat that big of an HP tax early on. But we got a bit of box roaming here. And, you know, this is where if you're going to run Calico, teams have been a little bit more aggressive, especially in NA, at roaming once boxes are up, using the opportunity for early ganks. We've been seeing that, you know, a lot in recent games. And, you know, any hero that's good as far as, you know, making the most out of that pressure would be Calico. So, you know, as I look to Cool Cheese, just going to see how active he gets early in the game.
Yeah, again, we mentioned that access through it with Ava that you can have to tunnel, so it means you can more safely or more, you know, stealthily rotate between those lanes. And someone like Calico a little bit more dangerous with that capacity than Rem is, of course. The latter really just wants to farm. Calico really wants to try and get aggressive and secure those kills. All right, AVG bouncing around here. Definitely needs to try and work back behind that Guardian. Got a bit of a lick there from Tanner, who's still looking to be pretty active despite a very difficult start to this game. We've got a 3-stack here for Bunny with Clock on this far left lane. And so far, it looks like Cool Cheese has not found too much to dig out here.
Yeah, I mean, you bring 3 over, you get a little bit of HP out of Rocker, but, you know, to bring 3 over, it is a pretty high commitment. You look elsewhere on the map what they're losing, but getting into it right now, Billy deep in on the Arctic. A little bit low, gonna need the back out, and you know, the left-hand side, the gank potential is gone, as you see Bunny with Clock kind of rotating back to normal.
Yeah, so Calico Warden, of course, here for Bunny with Clock. Be careful, that Billy stun plus Kudzu bomb is a big problem for anybody who gets caught inside of it, having your mobility limited in such a regard.
Worth noting, by the way, it wasn't just a gank attempt. In terms of where things are at, and they're rotating around the lanes a little bit, but as I'm looking at this here, Mitch, look at the mid lane. I mean, I was wondering how this would go, and you actually have Silver coming over to the mid now, 3 for Floormen to try and even up what has been a brutal mid lane so far versus Geistrem.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty important moment here for Lord NM, but Link is a little bit too close here. It's going to be Aiden, of course, the guys to pick up the kill, and there's more where that came from with Bunny with Clock there rotating in. Goob is a little bit low now, and it's a melee from the Abrams that secures that elimination. Floormen fly a little bit too close to the sun, and they've taken so much damage on that mid Guardian to boot.
I see the enemy.
I think in terms of lanes, you got to respect. Put Remgeist up there. I mean, that was a Mirage Holiday lane at the start of the game. Not a lane that usually gets bullied too hard, but in this case, absolutely got it.
Stone Idol here from Rocker as it looks to get on out. Kind of does a bit of everything, this guy. And now Bunny with Clock want to try and work their way back onto this left side of the map. Rocker being low as he is.
Owl.
Can't afford to get too close.
Death awaits.
Owl just came from right-hand side from Matt over into middle. I was looking towards posture. I'm not actually sure it hit. I just looked at the minimap, saw the Owl rotating over, and it's just like, wait, what actually took damage?
That's what he was looking for there.
Mina's real
It's bad news for League. Again, bit of a stack here on this right-hand side. Lord and them's just trying to maybe give a bit of breathing room for League to get out here. Healthy as they are, not too bothered. And there was a window there where the Mina could have been snapped up, and now the League will look to try and have some impact on this right side of lane for now. So after the smoke clears, Bunny with Clock able to close this, that small early game deficit right on up. A lot of these ultimates coming on now, ZP, so definitely worth keeping an eye on the next couple of minutes. Last stand up for Arctic, of course, going to be crucial.
It's going to be a 3-man slam for Floormen here on the right. They lose the mid Guardian as this goes on, but they're going to go for more of a trade. And more importantly, Lord and M's about to start getting real active in this game. Of course, for Silver, everything revolves around playing around Lycan Curse. You're at 3.5Ks. So, you know, your period of weakness here is about to be over, and you know, you're getting a little bit of help from the rotation of Goober to make it happen here on the right-hand side.
Okay. Rem trying to go for the sleepy, huge double catch. 2 players from Floormen are asleep right now. Stone Idol being used. Chain Gang also going to be committed. Every player in the vicinity here basically throwing in. And there's enough room for Floormen to get away, but look how low Rocker and AVG were. That's after, of course, they got some of that pocket sand thrown in their direction. So that means this left side Guardian's about to be chewed up.
Macro play for Bunny with Clock. Feeling pretty good here so far. I mean, their next Guardian coming down here. So far, it hasn't been the most active game. Calico back into the middle. Arctic in some real danger. Falls the Lord NM. who now has Lycan Curse online, is looking for some mid pressure. Still, Owl going to be brought out.
I don't know if there's really enough room for this one to connect. Floormen actually sort of see this rotation coming from Bunny with Clock, and they're able to get back in position now. This relieves the pressure on that left-hand side of the map. Might actually allow AVG to have some room to get back in. A little bit of a milling around now, of course, for Aiden, who will pick up some of that farm towards the left side of the mid lane. And we have some buying going on here as well for Rocker at the secret shop.
What happens next?
As I'm looking at it, I want to see the improvement from Lord NM, because last week was a little bit tough, which is understandable. The silver came out on Monday. There wasn't a lot of time to practice. And when you look at the series that was going on last week, it was clear Lord NM was, learning the hero. But the situation here is a little bit different. You've had over a week to practice the hero, time to optimize builds, even after some of the changes came on in. And now you're at the point where Lycan Curse is online. So, for silver, you don't necessarily want to be stuck farming for a long period of time. You want to actively seek out more engagements at the early part of the game. And if you're going to make this here work, as we saw in EU, that's what you have to look for. So I am curious about how Floormen rotate here, 2 minutes before buff and earn.
But look at this quick move over towards the right side. I think that Gibbs is about to run into a bit of adversity here and has to double back. Yeah, this mid to right side transition is definitely one worth keeping an eye on. Now, Sin is obviously being taken. We're at 8 minutes 27 into the game. Very even, but Floormen have sort of passively managed to pick the lead back up again. Even some damage being put onto this Walker in that mid side. And still the farming on this far left side for Floormen. You can see that AVG is not going anywhere. He's trying to gobble up as many of those souls as he can, but realizes there's an opportunity to drift towards mid now. That mid Guardian has to go.
That was something that Floormen did really, really well last week, is that even when they were losing at the beginning of the game, they were masters at just making the most out of macro resources, both efficiently farming their jungle, protecting things from getting hit from Bunny with Clock. So even when they would lose objectives, they were still getting enough in the map to keep things close. And in this case, they're not even behind, because it's been a much better early game for them. So I don't know if it's Rocker, Goober, whoever is making calls, but it has been good for them as things heat up now.
Chain ganging towards mid. It looks like Rem's being targeted. Gibbs might be in a spot of bother here. I think AVG feels like he's done enough. In the meantime, though, Goober got caught out here. That's the Calico actually getting involved. Great Talon turns up in mid now as well. We are hearing the airdrop in play. But what is Rocker looking for? Maybe just honestly a bit of safety. There is only Bunny with Clock players down there below them, and they do not want to tangle with them.
15 seconds before buffs come on out, and the thing Melee Creeps got away with murder last week is that they ended up just getting every single buff, Mitch. Of course, Melee Creeps not in this game, but we'll see who is prioritizing. Bunny with Clock definitely look to be solidifying in on the left. Absolutely no one near the right-hand side. Of course, earn contest, more important than it's ever been in Deadlock. If you've been missed for the last few weeks, the earn turn is instant now, so way more emphasis here on the pickup. And Mitch, it is about to be a brawl.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You can see both teams posturing around that. Silver's already gotten straight on in there. Tanner here just trying to bide his time. Good shoulder charge connection onto AVG. Takes the Billy out of the center of the fight for the time being. It's a Bunny with Clock pickup of the earn right now. And AVG's seen better days, quite low. Because this Abrams has been a problem. It's why there's been such a high priority pick lately. Gibbs is low. Yeah, eventually gets picked off. So that's a kill going over towards the Mirage. Poshtibub turns up when he needs to. Doesn't even have to use the Traveler in order to do so. But that earn is heading across the map in the hands of Cool Cheese. There has to be some sort of intervention. Rocker is trying to pace them here. And of course, there'll be Amina waiting around the turn-in location. So plenty to keep an eye on. This fight is far from done.
Matt, gonna let loose the Owl. So far, been more of a scouting Owl. May take a little bit of a chunk out of Ivy towards the end. Not too much in the end, but now, Calico. Ready to turn in the earn. Any contest? Nope, it is free. But if you're going to give up earn, that's the one to give up, especially if you get a kill in response. It is not the worst overall for Floormen, where, yeah, Bunny with Clock get a little bit more in the aggregate, but you're pretty okay with that. And actually, one thing of Calico, and we brought this up the first week the earn change came in theory, Calico is one of the best heroes around at doing earn intercepts, and the other team gets the earn first. It just didn't work out that way the first time it was brought into the game. So, that's another benefit to Calico that we haven't really seen expressed at the pro level here just yet. But today may be the game if, Calico's stuck trying to engage for the earn.
And there wasn't a ton that was traded by Floormen. They got a lot of damage on their mid-Guardian ZP, but weren't able to topple it. And Bunny with Clock really value keeping that in the game. They are still positioned around that mid area. Obviously, you give that gun sort of oriented Ivy enough time like this, and you're eventually going to have yourself that Guardian. Important way to open back up the map here. You'll note that the right side Guardian for Floormen is still up, so they're ahead on these neutrals.
I will say, when I look at the comps here, I think it's pretty close. Like, I don't think either team necessarily has a ultra massive late game edge over the other, but if you have to give a nod, I do think Floormen likes going late game a little bit more between the Billy, the Silver, and where you're at now. But as we see Rem doing quite a bit of damage. Gibbs just able to turn the corner, and League, I think, wisely knew that others were waiting in the wings, and this is getting a little bit more hot.
Yeah, obviously this, you know, investment into the stamina, though, for the Mina means that League can quite easily put some distance between himself and his would-be pursuers. But I don't know if this is advisable. They've dove back into. They realize how many of these Bunny with Clock players are nearby. Nox Nostra followed by Sanguine retreats. This League needs to get the heck out of dodge. And there's a chase on the right side lane still because Lord NM is caught and they're in trouble. Now some scrutiny as well on towards the Walker. That's the far left side. Keep an eye on that part of the map here. Bunny with Clock might have to race to trade these Walkers now. Big damage from Floormen on that key objective on the left.
This would be a tragedy if you give up Walker and get only a Guardian return Floormen. Pretty good macro play so far. I mean, they get Walker, they only gave up Lord NM. Yeah, AVG goes down.
Across the map. They're looking to try and defend this right side Walker. Floormen turning up when it counts. Zipline boost also being used. Tanner gets picked off. Rock has found an impact already. Lee can't quite get away, but it's all about defending this Walker, and so far that may have worked off. It is so very low. Arctic's eventually able to pick it up. It'll cost them their life, but still, Bunny with the Clock had to work hard to get an even trade of those important objectives.
Right play to be done there. You all in the Walker there. You don't want to be down a Walker. Also, I mean, we've had a few games recently where teams just end up getting slot locked if you don't make a move sometime early in the game to ensure that you get a Walker. So neither team dealing with that here. And I mean, look, Mitch, just about as even gets right now. 73K on the aggregate. You know, taking a look at the allocation even too, pretty solid. I mean, you got Warden at 13, Geist at 14, other side, you got Pashi at 14. You know, the one hero that is starting to fall a bit behind, but, you know, sort of for nature because she's not eating the jungle is Lord NM on the Silver. You know, maybe not the absolute best game on the Silver so far, but, you know, not so far behind that she can't have an impact on team fights, but...
Yeah. More of that investment as well into the utility, right? There's no slowing bullets picked up there. Life Strike obviously in the mix and some of those actives, so... Lord NM just really trying to get across the map, pace a lot of these more macro movements, and then being able to add that utility towards team fight. Okay.
20 seconds away from the buff, and already a little bit of contest here. Lord NM using movement here, boot kick up and over, and the curse beckons, but it's more of a cowardly werewolf in this case. You don't want any of this fight if you can help it. As you see Tanner over and in, 200 HP for Lord NM, just desperately trying to escape from the pressure. But we'll be able to do just that as the buffs now spawn.
Yeah, great mobility. I mean, that's obviously what Silver can offer you there. The slowing hex could have been it. Tanner able to catch on towards Lord NM, but they were able to sneak away. Now that mid walker for Bunny with Clock is being pressured down. Our reinforcements, Cold Cheese turns up, trying to ward away the entirety of Floormen. They're going to fall back, but that urn has been taken quite early here. So that's going to be ferreted back into the base of Bunny with Clock for the time being. I'll see the Stone Idol there being used for some sort of mobility. Rocker rather getting caught out as he tried to airdrop away for the fight. Not the opener that Floormen are looking for. But Tanner is low. Definitely wants to reconsider taking this engagement. But look at the Billy. Is AVG in a position to do something here? Chain gang used, but probably more for survivability or simply to ward off Bunny with Clock, and it doesn't pay off. Floormen now down 2 players. Tanner, though, is quite low. Could be an even exchange here now as League is on the hunt. Getting pressured by a very brolic-looking Rem there. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Sanguine retreat has to be made use of as Gibbs is able to...
Look at the right-hand side, by the way. The Walker's just getting decimated. So Floormen, they go all in on the trade. They go, okay, you have the urn, you've killed a few of our guys, but what about we go in for this right-hand side Walker while everything is going down?
There's only one Walker up now, and that urn turn-in is far from guaranteed. We'll see if Bunny with Clock can actually get that across the map, but it doesn't feel like a trade that favors them whatsoever. Coming back off spawn now, or back from spawn, AVG is going to be there. Poshi doesn't have ultimate, but he can get his way across the map the old-fashioned way. There were looks there over towards Rocker, who should be able to escape. Doesn't want to get caught out a second consecutive time. But now I think the rest of Floormen might have to commit to getting involved. They're still spread, but they want to fight around its own turning location, ZP.
Yeah, I mean, that's the scary part, is that they gave up Walker and they still haven't turned an urn. Floormen get an opportunity to double down, hop on over. Rem diving on in, nap time used early into the fight. Tanner already down, kind of a disastrous part of the engage here. Goober was able to shake some of the pressure, knocks Nostra in over the top. Getting Arctic a world of pain, no last stand. Not much really avenue for Arctic to do anything here, just desperately trying to get away as League chase it down.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. There's none of those key ultimates really active. Al is back here for Matt. Cool Cheese also has From the Shadows, but I think the work's already been done here now for Floormen. There'll still be some scrutiny, of course, on that earn turning location as Poshipop's trying to get ahead, but he's hit with a slowing hex by the look and needs to back away. Watches Covenant crucial in this fight for Rocket to make sure Floormen stay nice and healthy. That's more than I can say, though, for the rest of Bunny with Clock. They get absolutely wiped. Their corpses simply feed the Kudzu Bomb vines. That's an earn turn in. So they get a Walker, they get an earn, they get a team fight win, and that gives them an 11k soul lead.
It's about to get worse here, Mitch. Not only do they give up a Walker because they're not able to get the earn turn in time while Floormen were over there, not only do they lose the rebound earn fight, but they're going to lose mid-boss on top of all of it. So it was once an even game here. Maybe they're going to be able to contest and get a little bit of the rejuve. It's going to be difficult if they even go in. No, they don't even try. So what a way for the game to swing, Mitch, from even to down 15k and 3 rejuves now staring you right in the face.
And it's all well and good, ZP, to have so much soul allocation over towards your Warden and Geist. That's a great sign. But if you do not put your team in a position to leverage some of those important area of effect abilities, then it just doesn't matter how much they're working with. League has been so good at catching these stragglers. There've been some positioning problems for Bunny with Clock. We've seen Gibbs out of position, and obviously Rem doesn't have the scaling to really do anything on their own in terms of, evading capture. They're going to be squishy at all phases of the game. Lord and M in the last couple of minutes has also been able to accrue enough souls to become more than relevant in this game, and AVG is going to be scaling quite nicely. This almost illustrates my point here. Lord and M looking for another target here, but the binding word going to ward them off.
And Mike and Curse about to fall to the wayside. Also, one thing, we haven't talked about item builds too much, but the one item that's really come back into vogue, not just for Silver, but even heroes like Warden is slowing bullets. People have realized, wait, this item actually pretty good nowadays. And obviously, it's not a vacuum. Other items have gotten adjusted, but, the standard continues to evolve, Rest of things here on Warden about what you would expect in any given game.
Yeah, I mean, this game is different every week. Trust me. Trying to come back after a while is it's like a whole new thing. From the shadows here, could be a problem for Poshipop. That range increase a few months ago definitely making it harder to avoid that. But the Mirage is going to be able to get on out for now. There is an hour coming in, though. There might be something to this. And it's almost as if Poshipop is aware of that because he throws up a tornado, tries to get away. That execute potential of guiding hour is something to be mindful of. And that mid walker is a little bit low for Floormen, so we may see Bunny with Clock look to group up for a fight there soon.
Yeah, Bunny with Clock, the problem is you don't want to take an open fight. Ideally, you defend Walker, but against 3 rejuves, it's difficult. It's why when you have any other possibility of trading out a mid-boss, even if it's a losing fight, you do so, because anytime you're up against 3 rejuves, it doesn't get any better. And overall rejuve time, still a minute 50 left. So what you have to expect is that Floormen, after they've taken the jungle and whatever buffs they want here in full, they are going to make an attempt on the objectives. And I mean, the timing is such here too. They could also add in an earn, which looks to be the intent.
Yeah, Goober going to be able to snap that one up now and very quickly traversing the map here. I don't even know if Bunny with Clock are in any position to argue with this. They might look to try and take a mid-fight, but their waves aren't pushed. They're not in a position to trade this out for any larger objective, so they realize they're just going to have to fight for this either way. And obviously, now all our big abilities are online. Can Bunny with Clock get set up here with a big Warden ultimate to turn this fight around? That's obviously our goal. That is their turn in location, and here come Floormen ready to fight.
I don't think they fight. I think you fight this, you probably lose. I mean, 3 rejuves, relatively even. And yeah, I mean, Floormen right now taking their time, letting the front line move forward. There's going to be no interrupt here on the Goober. And quite frankly, Bunny with Clock could not fight this. And even just posturing, they lose Matt and might lose Arctic on top of it.
I mean, it's the rejuve difference. It's a bit of a problem. There's overlapping alchemical fires on the ground here. And you notice a lot of counterspells being picked up in keeping with what we saw over in EU. But it's for Floormen. This is where the dam breaks, folks. AVG getting pummeled there a little bit, but he's invested so heavily in so many of these high durability items. You see that Spirit Resilience picked up alongside the counterspell. Torment Pulse ticking as he goes to work on this Walker. And Floormen are going to really make use of this rejuve buff CP. It's to expire soon, but they've almost got that 30k soul lead. All Walkers down, and now there's some creeps in their side of the map to farm.
One thing we didn't talk about comp-wise, which I think can be a real problem, especially when you get to this part of the game, is that sometimes the reason why overall in Deadlock that most successful teams will have a standard playmaker hero, usually either Bebop, Holiday, or Paradoxes, are these are the heroes that give you opportunities to get back into the game when you're behind. I mean, they also give you opportunities to get ahead of the game when it's even. They're just good. They're just good in general. But you stop and look at where Bunny with Clock is right now. What is a good fight? Look for them right now. It has to be a positional gank where, you know, Tanner goes in, lands a good charge on someone. I mean, maybe something gets up on the owl and everyone jumps on them. But the engagement for Bunny with Clock to actually get a first pick and turn this into a winning condition for them, it's pretty difficult. As
they're trying to literally set up a dive around the secret shop. There's no other way for them to manufacture a good fight start than just wait, and it pays off. Lord and M is the player that is caught out, though, and not necessarily the highest value target, but still a little bit of a reprieve here for Bunny with Clock. The Soul League, though, is still out of hand. Make no mistake. Rocker will certainly have the target on his back now, and he finally, I think, is aware of that fact. Trying to get away as quickly as he possibly can. Floormen down. Our player do not want to tempt fate. See, slowing hexes galore being thrown in the direction here.
Yeah, and without Playmaker here, that's exactly how Bunny with Clock needed to set that up. I mean, it is a much more difficult task, but you figure, hey, someone's going to come around the secret shop, and it's Lord NM that gets the business. And this doesn't get you fully back into the game, but if you look at the map positioning right now, it gives Bunny with Clock more ability to grab, you know, a disproportionate amount of the jungle to potentially get an extra kill if Floormen over-engage while down one. But this window of power, Mitch, is about to go to the wayside. Lord and M about to be back up, and we're going to be back in the dynamic where Bunny with Clock kind of want to retreat to their side of the map and really play close to the vest, because mid-boss going to be back up now in about another minute. So you're about to get into the zone where if you have another bad team fight, it's another mid-boss and very likely the end of the game.
I mean, Bunny with Clock might just want to play around mid-boss. They might just want to fight there. That at least gives them an actual staging ground for a conflict that doesn't require them to sort of sneak up on someone to catch them out of position. However, that's the issue for Tanner right now. Caught inside the chain gang, Lord and them chomping at the bit. And tanky as Abrams is, this is going to be tough to dodge. Good nap time use there for Gibbs. It's going to slow it up, but Tanner surely is going to be run into the ground. And now Bunny with Clock's ability to meaningfully fight over this mid-boss is severely limited. Tanner won't be back until just after mid is spawned.
This is quite brutal. I mean, if you're Bunny with Clock, you needed to try and look for an opportunity to get a pick pre-mid-boss. But if you're Floormen and you're watching the timers, which they certainly are, you also could just send it. We'll see if they want to do that. I mean, when you have the level of lead they have, there's a few different ways they can play it. I think if it was EU and his Abrahams, they would just send it because that's a team that has never seen a send-it opportunity that they don't take. But okay, as we take a look here, Floormen, they know mid-boss is spawning and the call has been made.
Yeah, it is time to go for it now. At least, you know, with the guided owl, Matt can try and make a play here, set something up, but it's going to be asking for quite a lot. This mid-boss is going to melt rather quickly, and Bunny with Clock are aware. They're trying to obviously work on some Sinner sacrifices here on that left side of the map, but now they need to drift over. They've been baited out of position. Do they fall for it hook, line, and sinker, though? Floormen up in the mid are looking for stragglers or anybody that got too close from Bunny with Clock, but they have not. Buffs have just spawned up. They could be crucial over the next few minutes, and that's where Floormen are heading now.
Owl ends up coming out here from Matt in the middle.
Is there a follow-up? So there is ZP. This could be it. Okay, last stand obviously in the back pocket for the Warden. Don't know if Arctic really has a chance to make use of it here. And oh my goodness, what a silence on towards 3. Bunny with Clock. Pressure down. Tanner going quite low. Parry attempt is there. Seismic Slam will be used inside this small room. It does catch on to 2. Tanner, though, still bleeding out, but it's going to be AVG that falls first. The Abram surely going to be traded out for this. An attempted parry goes wrong. Now, here comes Lord NM. Looking dangerous. Berserker, of course, in the inventory, made use of that counterspell earlier on. And that's a 2-for-1 trade that Floormen will be happy to take. There's another buff to scoop up and mid-boss to be addressed again, ZP.
And of course, it's not going to roar here one more time. If you're Bunny with Clock, you just have to assume it is about to die at any moment because, well, it is. 30k difference between the two teams. Bunny with Clock down 2, Floormen down 1. If you are Bunny with Clock, the stage has been set. You still need to get in here and try and make a play happen as nap time comes out.
All right, it's the Stone Idol straight away. That stun important. And Arctic still at least is going to be able to get a rejuve credit here. It will be used up pretty much straight away. Of course, on this Soul Revival effect, it's going to be Goober, in fact, that's brought back into the fight. But Floormen have lost one of those as well. In fact, all rejuve credits have been eaten up, so that buff is no longer active on Floormen. Now, there's a no-holds-bar brawled active. And Aiden Destroyer managed to use that Soul Exchange to get that key health back. AVG still out of the fight, of course, and as you can see, Goober has seen better days health-wise, but eventually the Lady Geist is going to be brought down. This is dangerous. Yet Spirit Lasso catching on towards Matt. That Grey Talon isn't going anywhere. A barrel will basically do them in, and Poshy finishes the job.
Don't force me to kill you
All in all, for the game state they were in, that is about as good as you can hope for Bunny with Clock. And they go, what do you mean? There's a bit on fire for Floormen. You got multiple people down for Bunny with Clock. Yes, but you don't have Floormen coming out with 3 rejuves. So it's not good to, oh, the hyper line. That is so awful for Cool Cheese. Boot kick into, well, maybe finish. Return the shadow. You have to be some deep shadows indeed. And no, not quite enough to free up Cool Cheese.
Something I loved at the start of the fight that was maybe harder to spot is that Rocker obviously has picked up that silence wave, so comes in with the airdrop and just hit silence wave onto 3 players to begin that fight. Just gives a nice little window there for Floormen to go ham on them. And now the aforementioned Rocker is going to get that soul urn turned in, so you can see now this game has really opened up.
45K separating both teams, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Is like, what does a good win condition look for Bunny with Clock? And look, they made some opportunity happen with the proximity gank at the shop, but doing that again and actually being successful, particularly this level of gap between the two teams, it is going to be enormously difficult. Also, Mirage has just about hit his perfect power spike. Once you get Mirage around 35K, that is when you're about as powerful as you're going to get. Like, yeah, you can add extra items, but this is where essentially a Mirage really starts taking over the game as a late game carry. And you look at counterparts on the other side, a 25K Warden means practically nothing at this point, Mitch.
Rocker is dominating, by the way, picking up a lot of those kills. The only player with Healbane, I was kind of wondering to what degree like Rem's healing capacity is going to be respected or at least played around. It looks like it's pretty limited, as it's not that easy for Rem to get around the map. I think we saw like Refresher Rem or something similar, like to to try and refresh that 2 ability, but it doesn't look like it's something that people are too concerned about.
Echo Rem has definitely been more meta. I think it's arguably the best thing to put an Echo Shard on in the entire game right now for how Rem wants to play. But in terms of frontline, I mean, yeah, it's pretty good for keeping Aiden in the fight, but everyone else is so far behind. And I don't know. I look at this draft, I think back to the beginning and why I had a little bit of doubts for Bunny with Clock. I have not seen the proof of Calico being a good pick right now. We have to go production for the win rate, but I feel like every time I've seen Calico at the night shift level, it has not worked out. In recent times.
In recent time, I was going to say, because obviously back when I was actually casting this game a bit more, Calico's trading ability in lane with Leaping Slash was pretty absurd because obviously the melee damage proc that she could apply. But here it seems like it's been a little bit harder for her to run away with the game. We've not really seen much. I mean, again, good mobility, good earn presence, or at least the ability to sort of traffic that across the map. But outside of that, nothing I'd be writing home about. Decay, Slowing Hex, Rescue Beam, Guardian Ward. There's a lot of buttons here for Gibbs to be pressing.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of how the build has evolved here on Rem, especially with how tag along works, the bonus you get to shields. It's tailor-made to just, throw out a lot of good support. I think it's why the hero has been picked a lot, although I still side-eye NA a little bit right now relative to EU, where NA has just decided we don't play Page. And it makes no sense because I think that hero is absurd at the moment, and so is the majority of EU. But we've just taken out even melee creeps. Sai would far rather pick a Kelvin, where he's actually the only Kelvin player remaining.
One of the few players,
that changed. Yeah. Also, look at this movement. Look at how clean Goober is, especially with superior stamina. This is an earned speed run. The man has just spent so much time practicing the movement.
Turns out having 8 stamina pips is also pretty sweet for getting around, but bro has only used half of them. That is what is kind of insane about that. There is a setup here to protect against this earn fight, and I am again asking the question, can Aiden the Destroyer with 35k souls be the difference maker? Because Floormen are looking stacked, they are looking jacked, they are cracked and ready to get up on the attack. Here's a float here for Goober. Gonna drop down, quick soul earn, turn in now. That's instant, that's pretty scary. And there was really no resistance from Bunny with Clock at all. They were chased straight on down. You can see Nox Nostra used as League just plummeted over towards them. This should pretty much wrap things up at this point now. Base Guardians can be dealt with, and the Soul Lead is too big probably to remediate at this point.
Mitch, that opening was ridiculous. You talk about all sorts of style and aura coming on in. That was an airdrop chain gang. That was the aerial Billy from AVG, the create room, where it's like, wait, what's going on? Why is this goat flying? And was it necessarily needed in this case? No, but was it a stylish way to set up this team fight? the end of the shrines and likely the end of the game? Absolutely. But Mitch, with the 70k difference, this one is all done but the crying.
That's it. It is. That's a fantastic hexagrams line, by the way. I do hear you.
Oh,
there. Floormen here obviously are, in a great spot. They just don't want to linger. That is the one spot where Bunny with Clock can get back into the game, but they could have finished it. Let's be real. Obviously, with the patron knock, they realize that Bunny with Clock can sort of get back in, but we could discuss a number of these builds here, but they know they can simply double back over towards mid boss, pick that up, and be done with the game.
Not much room for anything left here. Again, you have to go through the mental thought process of how does Bunny with Clock win a team fight? And you can't even get to that point right now, Mitch. It's more so, how does Bunny with Clock even get one elimination? And you kind of look a little bit closely, go, okay, maybe Lord NM's going to go to the shop again. Maybe Goober's going to focus so much on movement that he forgets that he just went into the enemy fountain. Realistically, you go into the absurd to get one kill. But also, even if you get that kill, that you have full rejuve, so yeah, it's done.
Yeah, you can sort of see here the soul allocation is pretty spot on for Floormen. Poshipop is now at the point where you are going to get shredded without realizing where the damage is coming from. Spiritual Overflow, obviously joining the inventory along with the Ethereal Shift just to make this that much harder to hit. Obviously, Tank Buster is such a core part of her kit alongside that Boundless Spirit, so she is right where she wants to be. She's about as good as it gets here alongside the Toxic Bullets. She's a menace. League is at 7-1 and 14. Is that a very good game?
I kind of looked forward to the future here, and I do think this is a better day for the Floormen. As they're looking at going up against melee creeps here soon, they go for Lord NM. Mitch, they go for that one shot on it's everyone's favorite werewolf, but the HP bar, it's not moving much.
No, Lord NM is beyond tanky at this point. Metal Skin in the inventory, by the way, alongside their Spirit Resilience, so very, very hard to deal with this particular Lycanthrope. And there goes Gibbs and Matt. They are down, and this will be Floormen rounding on the Hidden King. They probably should have knocked it, the last time they came here and didn't have to middle round, but with Bunny with Clock throwing those GGs up. And so once again, Floormen have the opportunity here to renew their claim to the throne of Night Shift. Last week it was a very, very close matchup. I'm very glad we get to see that run back here. Big GGs. Floormen advance to the money match against melee creeps.
Damn. I tell you what, I wasn't ready. I was not ready for the game to turn around so quickly. That, I think, was the thing that just absolutely floored me. No pun intended. Maybe pun intended. I don't know. They deserve it after that one. Hell, you can really. I mean, because when you're really looking at it, right, things were looking pretty okay. In like the mid game, like we were all right. We were good. Things were stable. And then you're like, okay, maybe this is BWC's week. This could be it. And it was that one play where they just got a little bit too hungry, going up the gut on Floormen, that they ended up losing that right. What was it?
The right
Walker. That Walker was it. And then from there they had to double back, and then they got cooked. They could never deliver the urn, all that stuff. It was just like a series of events that just really played out poorly for them. And I'm writing it all down in my notebook. I'm like, oh God, this is bad. This got really bad.
This is actually miserable. But yeah, I mean, the problem is that it wasn't a trade, right? They had urn control, and Floormen going into that, the fact that they were able to stop the urn and build up enough time was nothing but bonus. Realistically, they were happy to do Walker for urn. And for Bunny with Clock, not only do they not get the urn, but they get wiped out in the upcoming urn fight in such a way, so decisively, that they also lose mid boss. So it went from an even game to they lost Walker, urn, mid, one after the other, and they're running a comp that really has to put in way more effort than the norm to actually go in. And the stone form timing there.
And there were some moments as well with Tanner on the Abrams, where you're seeing, just some great presence, right? Like really allowing himself to take that frontline control and all that, but there just was no damage. There was just nothing. No one could follow up with anything because they were just so freaking just stacked. Uber, really, that was it.
It's like soul investment into like Warden and Geist is important, but it really takes you to be ahead, I think, to be able to leverage that and abuse it. Whereas like you get Mina started early. If you remember, Lee got the first kill, I think, of the game. That's obviously really potent. Yep. And then you have Mirage, who, pairs like really good gun damage, which can, have area of effect, right? You can be bouncing that around backlines alongside global pressure. It could be really hard to catch this team out. And the thing is, like, when you build a composition, you don't want to be asking yourself this question because you're trying to play to win and not play to not lose. But you have to ask yourself, how do we actually get a good team fight when our opponents have like Rejuve or something? Do we have catch potential in this team? I mean, you notice that like no Paradox in this game, she was banned out, but Holiday was picked up, right? And that is a dichotomy that we've had for a long time, is that those two heroes specifically can force favorable fights for you, right? Either by the swap or of course the Spirit Lasso of Holiday. If you ban one of them and then lose the other, then you don't have a good way to like risk-free start a fight, especially from long distance. You have Guided Owl, which we did see get a 2-player stun on Floormen up mid at one point, and Floormen was still able to disengage, albeit barely. So outside of that, you don't have reliable ways to get good fights unless it's around static objectives like Earn and mid boss, and that's why Floormen were baiting Bunny with the Clock into it. They tried to pull him down to mid, get a fight out of them, Bunny with Clock eventually walked into a trap. They got players picked off. Tanner, unfortunately, just got caught out of position a number of times.
No, it was the one thing that was clear was there was an understanding on Floormen's side of their timings, when they wanted to go for the fight, how they wanted to force the control. Like, honestly, I'm looking at the mini map and I'm kind of just seeing Floormen just hurt him like cows, just like, okay, come over here. All right, great. Now we're going to, mess you up. Okay. And then come over here. Okay, great. And by no fault of, Bunny with Clock's own, I mean, I guess maybe to a certain extent, but Floormen were just on another level for a good chunk of that game at that point. And
we got to talk about Lord and M as well. Lord and M was sick, man. Like, not super relevant early in the game, but obviously got a lot of neutral farm, right? Floormen with map control and that early Walker advantage. Lord and M quietly got back into the game to become a real threat. Like, that insane innate mobility and also durability that Silver offers is just like, it's a match made in heaven with so much of the kit. Like Hollow Point, obviously like Warpstone, Berserker, all this stuff really made Lord and M quite a problem.
Yeah, I'll also add on to that too. As far as Lord and M goes, like I ragged on Lord and M a bit last week because it was a tough performance on Silver. I mean, you look at how Melee Creeps drafted when everyone else was first banning Silver because she was really, really strong before she got adjustments. Like, clearly still strong now, but not quite the same level of power. Melee Creeps made the assessment of, go ahead, let Lord M play Silver. We don't really care. And I think Lord M is definitely leveled up on the hero as time goes on. But the thing I have to like go back and hit a little bit is that I think when Bunny with Clock has looked good, generally speaking, it has been cool cheese on either the Paradox or the Holiday. And I think draft wise, getting stuck in a position where you end up picking Calico instead, it just feels tough because I do think this game could have been significantly different if you just had cool cheese on the Paradox, because it's not even just about the playmaking either. I think people tend to underrate the amount of defensive benefit you get in some of the bigger team fights just by Paradox dropping a wall. It really, I don't know. I think the Paradox would have given them a lot more value than the Calico, and I'm not trying to be the world's #1 Calico hater. It just hasn't worked in the last like month and a half.
You have a problem with the character. I mean, my God,
just hates cats, man. It's fine.
You really don't like cats, ZP? Is that true? You don't like cats? You want to tell that to the world, or you want to go single on ZP so you could have a PSA?
Look, that's the Jason approach. Jason is the full dog guy. Like I'm good with cats, although you wouldn't know it from this break where it's just like pumping up Silver, hating on Calico. There's a clear dog over cat dichotomy going on. But GB, we got an MVP.
Yeah, I mean, if it's ZP's choice, it ain't going to be Calico. So let's see who's the MVP coming in hot. All right, and no shocker, it's Goober. Oh man, dude, when Goober grabbed the urn and just got from one end of the and listen, I know for you guys who watch Night Shift on a regular basis, that's like a Tuesday, or in this instance, a Wednesday for each and every one of you. But for me, oh my, this man looked like Spider-Man. He was flying out there. I'm like, is he Miles Morales? Like, he was flying through the thing. He was absolutely zipping around that map. The man you're so right, ZP. What a treat to watch this guy play Holiday.
Yeah, it's really interesting too, just because of how it's evolved. Where it happened if you watch a stream over the last month or so, where Goober's just like, all right, I'm just gonna keep learning movement. Got a holiday addiction, and then probably had the best day of his life when Celeste came out. Even though right now at the level of power evaluation, maybe we'll see Celeste in play a month from now, or we'll see how broken Apollo is.
I love that spirit snare being taken. Yeah, so like Goober sits on the wall to make sure our teammate actually triggers Spirit Snare so they can drop their earn in and get a turn in. That is some really nice movement. Also, like the build got pretty out of hand. The Vortex Web pickup alongside Alk Fire, like you just really cannot. It actually heavily limits BWC's ability to fight around those like areas of effect or enclosed spaces. There's just too much punishing damage. Also, Silence Wave, the second Silence Wave carrier on that Floorman team, really problematic if you can actually stagger those activations and lock your opponents out of the fight.
Yeah, no, that was a impressive showing. So congrats, MVP, for the first matchup. But coming up next, we have our final matchup. It's going to be a rematch from last week. Rematch we've seen quite a few times. Melee Creeps versus Floormen. And those EP, I will say, coming into this one, while yes, Melee Creeps they're great, won multiple times. How many have they won in a row now? What, 8 or 7 or something like that?
It's over 10 now. I think it's like 12 or 13. Where it's I mean, it's easy to forget though for Melee Creeps because they get roughed up a lot. They're not quite as dominant as Abraham's have been, and for a long time they were map 2 merchants, where it's just like, oh, it's map 2. I guess we're gonna lose that. Like that entire spree between like 14 and 20, the one loss there was always map 2, where they just messed around a little bit. But the one map they lost back last week, that was map 1, which to me is kind of a signal that, okay, teams are getting a bit closer. This new Floorman roster does have what it takes to compete. And again, the bans are going to be different tonight because they're not going to be able to keep Goober off Holiday with the first ban unless they want to give up Celeste, which is probably the ultimate no-go zone.
That's crazy that you kind of just have to now pick your poison in this situation, right? You have no other choice. But anyway, we'll worry about that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, though, folks, this is, of course, Night Shift. Make sure if you want to support this, go ahead and just throw a couple donations out there, add to the prize pool a little bit, support these players and what they're doing out here and keeping this game going. Shout out to everyone who's been tuning in as well. This is unbelievable. So many viewers. honestly, just thank you guys. This is awesome. You guys are
crazy, bro.
Pretty
we were talking about this last week.
I know.
We were talking about this last week. Like, hey, GB, you should come on. You should come on Night Shift, bro. You're like, yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. And you know what's crazy as well? I wasn't even planning on it. And then ZP, when I saw him, was like, hey, you're going to be on Night Shift on Wednesday, right? And I was like, I guess so. After the meetings, So I'm super pumped. Anyway, folks, we'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. We have Floormen versus Melee Creep coming up next. See you out of nowhere.